Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Red Top Report. I am your host, Joe Gallagher, and today we have another segment. It's Friday, which means JQ with B. Our questions, Joe's questions with Dr. William Mahoney. Doctor, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
It's always wonderful. I loved the first two. People seem to really, really like it. We got some awesome emails. Some comments weren't too bad. So without further ado, let's dive in, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, first question. Do I have it? By the way, do you like our new Red Top
I do.
Report?
Very fancy.
They are. They're
You're
awesome.
really stepping up here.
We're getting there. Next is the mugs.
Next is the mugs, yeah. You're really stepping up your game here.
Mugs. Do I have an obligation to baptize an infant relative because the parents refuse to? So, I don't know. I imagine that's like...
Oh, that's interestingly, the phrasing's interesting. No, you actually have an obligation not to, I would say, because you are the parents have authority over their children. So that is sacrosanct. It's the fourth commandment. It's the first delegation of God's authority, because the first three commandments pertain to God and his majesty and his authority. And then the first delegation of his authority is honor your mother and father. So he gives that's his first delegation of authority is parents. From that come all other authorities. Even when our Lord was in front of Pilate, he said, "You have no power over me unless it's been given to you from above." So he recognized that Pilate was sinning, but he also recognized that he had authority given by God, and parents have that over their children. It's frightening because they can choose evil, and like Adam and Eve did by disobeying God, and we're all suffering the consequences of that. So in the case of parents who have a child and they're not going to baptize the child, you're not free to baptize the child, because part of
even as a grandparent or an uncle or
even
sister?
As anything, you're not free to, because that is on the parents. The other thing is, because when you baptize, the church makes it abundantly clear to the parents that you have to raise the kids Catholic. So if that child's baptized, you know he's not going to be raised Catholic, or she as well. So that's another aspect of it. I know that's a hard answer, but it's the horror of freedom and authority misused. What I would say, though, is you should, every chance you get, talk to that person and explain to them, preach salvation to them, preach sin and salvation, and say, this is the first way you love you. I mean, this is how you ultimately love your children, is to work on getting them into heaven. Yeah. Like, that's first and foremost. Every chance you get, I would say, really, really work on that person, on the parents. Mm-hmm. Whether, I don't know. I don't know the particulars of that situation, but yeah, I would say you just never let it go. And if you have an influence in that child's life, tell the kid about the faith too. Keep telling the kid, because you never know, maybe one day he or she will freely choose to be baptized himself. I mean, I know of stories like that as well. So
yeah. I mean, what a beautiful conclusion to the story, if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. God's not done. He just as far as this part is concerned, you have to hold off on.
No, that's well put. Thank you. By the way, if anybody has questions that they would like to ask Dr. Mahoney, if you'd like to ask them, the form submission link is in the description below, so you can always click on that and enter in your question for Dr. Mahoney. So hopefully we'll be able to pick it and get through them all. We've got hundreds, so we won't be able to get through them all today.
Oh, well.
All righty, question number 2, Doctor. Does spiritual warfare, this is good. Does spiritual warfare look different for men versus women? Does each sex play a different role based on the God-given roles? So a little bit of a twofer.
That's a very interesting question. Yes, of course. Obviously, it's going to be different. So spiritual warfare, I think sometimes we have a tendency to romanticize about it a bit. We picture ourselves with swords slashing at the devil and this and that, and we're going to do all these deliverance prayers, and that's, of course, an aspect of it. But really, it's just, this is the kingdom of God versus the kingdom of hell. This is the kingdom of light versus the kingdom of darkness. We're soldiers in that. We're church militant. So how we do our combat against evil is by loving God, going to the sacraments, and then the details of our state in life, which of course is going to change. Spiritual combat's going to look very different for a monk than for a married man, for example. And this would be true of men and women too. So for a man, it's let's say he's a father of children, that's going to play out one way, and for a woman, it'll play out in another way. So yes, I would say that your sex does change your spiritual, how you do spiritual battle, and embrace it.
Sure.
Yeah, be humble, try to love God, and embrace your state in life, and try to live it for His glory and for the salvation of souls. And you are doing spiritual battle.
Not to put you on the spot, but can we flesh that out a little bit more? So let's say in the situation of a married couple, how that might play out for a traditionally minded married couple. Let's paint the picture. A man's out and working. Is your phone on?
No, that's not my phone. Sorry.
Dude,
I thought I turned this off. Oh, it's sorry, it's one of the editors. They're in panic mode. I apologize, buddy. I thought I turned all my ringers off.
Editor. I hardly know her.
All right, I really apologize. Danny's gonna get a lip full.
That
Ever call me when I'm in a shoot.
so embarrassing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
right.
Could you flesh out so let's take the context, the picture of a married couple, husband works, wife is at home with the children as God created things to be in the perfect circumstance. Obviously, in today's economy, there's all those different variables. But let's just paint the ideal. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that might look like briefly?
Sure. I mean, the husband at work, he's offering his work to God for His glory and for the salvation of souls, for his own family, just like Saint Joseph in the carpenter shop. And the woman at home, everything she's doing, she's keeping the house clean, she's changing diapers, she's teaching the kids as they get older. That's huge. I mean, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. You're forming children's minds. So the mom at home is literally forming children's minds and growing them up in the faith, ideally, teaching them about God's love and all the things they have to embrace. All the little acts that are done with great love are more powerful than great acts done with little love.
Mm-hmm.
So
the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It actually gave me chills. Our third question. I am a senior citizen and would like to join a sitting yoga class at our local senior center. It is for exercise only without any religious content. As a practicing Catholic, can I join? And I think before you answer, Dr. Mahoney, your answer is applicable to all Catholics. You don't have to be a senior citizen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. That's good. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. I was thinking of the yoga part, but yeah,
Sure.
Obviously. Yes. Whatever age you are. No, absolutely not. Yoga. So moral acts and moral theology are judged by three items. They are, the object, the intention, and the consequence. Not consequence, the circumstance. So if any one of these is flawed, the act is flawed. Now, in this case, the object is flawed because yoga it's all tied up with Hinduism, which is utterly contrary to Catholicism, to the Christian message. And so if your intention's good, but you go about to do it, it's still off because the object is off. So even though your intention is good and not to, make these positions of Hindu gods, these false gods, it's still completely flawed. So, I mean, I would liken that to, can I use a Ouija board to stretch my fingers, No,
Yeah.
Just stay away from the Ouija board, right? So, yeah, so absolutely not.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
I'm a guitar player. Can I use my Ouija board?
Yeah, can I use my Ouija board to, it's for my arthritis or, whatever. No, absolutely not. Gabriel Morth, who was an exorcist in Rome, who wrote some books. Yeah, he says in one of his books, he says, yoga's of the devil. And how could it not be? It's tied up with false gods and everything else, and you can't dabble with it. Surely you can find another exercise to do, like Pilates or get some swimming, or there's so many other things you could do. Go for a walk. You don't have to be in these weird stretches or whatever. So no, stay away from that stuff. It's a cult. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous.
I think we're in a world where you can essentially yoga has become so prevalent in Western culture in America.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's it's this idea of the Eastern mysticism.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but now it's the only option. It's offered. I mean, at senior centers, where else can you go? It's not like you've got Zumba in Hall A and then yoga in Hall B.
Yeah.
So it's
honestly, at that point, I just find something on YouTube and just stay at home and exercise then, or go for a walk. I mean, you can find another solution, I'm sure, if you look hard enough. But you have to, stay away from that stuff. I know it's cool now. It's like you get your Starbucks and your whatever, and then I came from yoga, and I know.
And your Ugg boots.
I live in the world too.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
Question for you, Dr. Mahoney, before we wrap up. What's going on in your life? What's going on with your productions and your work with Church Militant that people can keep an eye out for?
Right now we're finishing up Marian Moment, episode 6. That one's involves evolutionary theory and how it was used to crack down.
Sorry.
It's an exciting and amazing episode. And it's got, it talks about how Darwin was used to these horrible atrocities in communism. We go into the Vietnam War. I asked Christine Niles to do the voiceover because she's actually fled Saigon as a little baby.
Did she really?
Yeah, her family
Wow.
fled Saigon when she was a little baby. So I said, do the voiceover for the Vietnam War. Because the main point I want people to take away from Marion Moment is communism is not something from the past. You're still living the consequences. We have 4 communist countries in the world still. It's come to America. It's not coming to America.
Yeah,
and there's a
it's here.
fight going on right now for the soul of this country. Like, pay attention, people, and look to Mary because she's the one who's going to stomp on it because she is the dipolar opposite of it. I try to get people to get this. This is not a boring historical thing I'm making. It's to let you see, like, this is ugly and this is real and this is in your face. So arm yourself with knowledge and then do your
Amen.
prayers. Anyway,
Amen.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
Thank you for coming on, Dr.
You're welcome.
Mahoney. All righty. Every Friday, we have JQ with B, where we'll have Dr. William Mahoney on answering your questions about theology, the culture, and the world. We'll catch you next time on Red Top Report.
Away from grace, run into the box, run it, check it.